Elite Facts presents
7 of the worst neighbors ever.
7.
Michael Carroll, the racetrack neighbor. So everyone at their very least knows the stereotype about that one neighbor who's constantly messing around with cars, parts strewn about on their driveway, annoyingly revving up the engines and disturbing the entire neighborhood. Now, we're not talking about people who need to check their car if they come across any issues. No, we're talking about people who just do it because they think that they've got some kind of a side career going as a member of a NASCAR pit stop crew. Well, Michael Carroll in Norfolk, UK, upped the ante by building an entire demolition racetrack in his yard. The 20-year-old convicted criminal, who won over $14 million in the lottery, decided that instead of purchasing land somewhere out in the middle of nowhere on which to build this track or, putting the money into a bank account, he decided to put it into the purchase of a Norfolk neighborhood estate, which he promptly turned into a 24-hour manslaughter-scale bumper car ride. Apparently, the dust and noise was so bad that the family next door had to start living in their bedroom, the last somewhat quiet place in the entire house. Aside from being exposed for long periods of time to deadly exhaust clouds, Carroll's neighbors also had to worry about the potential fires that could start whenever this dope felt like launching industrial-grade fireworks and emergency flares over other people's houses. Some homeowners did try talking to Carroll to maybe come to some sort of a compromise, but it's hard to negotiate with a man whose hobbies include wrecking cars, and attacking his own sister with a samurai sword. Winner.
6.
All-around nightmare neighbor. These neighbors never really got off on the right foot. Biker David Constantine spent a whole 2 years harassing and terrorizing his neighbors, Stephen and Lucy Ward. This harassment had gotten so bad that Constantine even went so far as to frame the couple for attempted murder. Now, you might be asking, what could have triggered Constantine to do such a thing? Well, it's simple, really. It all started when Stephen and Lucy couldn't help him move his motorbike one particular day. Yeah, that's it. Is that ridiculous or what? The Wards literally did nothing to Constantine, yet every day they were awoken by banging on their walls. They were regularly fired at by an air gun, had death threats made against them, and even had a barbed wire fence placed around their home when they dared to go out of town. But that's not all. Constantine actually went as far as to smash his own face in with a frying pan and then accuse Stephen of doing it. And he successfully sued Stephen for that frying pan to the face and received thousands of pounds. Feeling like this tactic of self-injury was now a proven winner, Constantine upped the ante by stabbing himself in the chest in order to frame his neighbor for attempted murder. Fortunately, the accusation didn't stick, as police discovered David's over-the-top collection of weapons and hateful notebooks about his young neighbors. David narrowly escaped prison time, though, but was warned never to communicate with his neighbors again, which must make the annual block party quite awkward.
5.
Paula Bowley, horse manure. Paula Bowley has been described by neighbors as someone who always has the solution no matter what situation she's in. Well, this certainly was the case as the Staten Island resident got into a heated dispute with her next-door neighbors, which came to a boiling point when Paula decided to pour horse manure across the fence line that keeps their properties separated. Her furious neighbors compared the overwhelming smell to rotten fish and said they have to keep their windows closed at all times. Although why they wouldn't compare the smell of a pile of horse manure to, horse manure is beyond us. I mean, everyone knows what horse manure smells like, right? It's not rotten fish. Anywho, the 2 dump trucks worth of manure have since attracted hordes of flies and rats to the area, and Paula has been described as the neighbor from hell.
4.
Hired hitman. In Oregon, after a long-running parking dispute, Jeffrey Wright tried to intimidate his neighbors into leaving by throwing dog feces at them and tossing some over their fence for good measure, as well as shining floodlights directly at their property at night. It was reported by other neighbors that Jeffrey promised to terrorize this particular neighbor until they got the hint and moved. When the neighbor proved resistant to Jeffrey's tactics, he upped his psychotic game and tried to run them off the road. This landed him in prison, where he solicited a hitman. Yeah, you can probably see where this is going. Upon Jeffrey's release, he actually did hire the hitman to ram his neighbor's car into a telephone pole. Fortunately, Jeffrey was arrested again before the plan could be carried out. He was charged with violating his restraining order and conspiracy to commit murder. Gonna miss him at the neighborhood potluck supper, I bet.
3,
Woman drives neighbors to depression. Arguments about plant roots and pruning are pretty common among neighbors, but few people are willing to take things like that to any kind of extreme levels. Enter Jean Wilding, a woman who was willing to do whatever it took to win an argument with her neighbors. This included things like dumping oil, animals, and broken glass on her neighbor's driveway and turning her CCTV camera towards her neighbor's houses, essentially putting them under surveillance 24/7. She also waited until the middle of the night to crank up music that included highly offensive lyrics that would easily get under her neighbor's skin. We would imagine any Justin Bieber music would have had the same effect. She didn't stop there, though. Wilding was said to have turned high-powered floodlights into her neighbors' homes and to have damaged the cars of other residents. Wilding's actions were so over the top, her neighbors had to seek treatment for depression. After 257 complaints from 15 local residents and organizations, 30 arrests, and a short stint in jail, a court banned Wilding from playing music above 30 decibels after 7 p.m., and she was prohibited from installing any lights or any CCTV cameras that cover any area outside her own home and garden. She was also ordered to pay $115,000 in court fees. For that amount of money, she could have had Bieber perform live in her backyard. Everyone would have moved away.
2,
Song on a constant loop. Okay, here's one we know everyone's had to deal with at some point. And if you haven't yet, odds are you'll run into this problem at some point down the line. We have all had that one person who plays the exact same song on a loop at a ridiculous volume for hours on end. Whether it's your neighbor or one of your siblings or even one of your own kids, it's guaranteed you'll encounter this problem sooner or later. Well, Alexander Alexandrov may have been forced to live that nightmare a tad too long, as he ended up killing his neighbor Martin Kromov, who had been listening to Angels by Robbie Williams over and over and over again for more than a week. Now, it's kind of difficult to say who the bad neighbor actually is here. Obviously, what Alexander did is not acceptable at all. However, you've got to take into consideration that Martin Kromov not only disturbed Alexander, but odds are he also disturbed other neighbors within proximity to his stereo speakers. For the love of Pete, at least have the common courtesy to switch to a different Robbie Williams song every once in a while. He has more than one, you know.
1,
Offensive letters. Okay, these neighbors are just downright disgusting. Now, the reason this example is number 1 on our list is not because of what they physically did to provoke their neighbors, but in fact, what they wrote to their neighbors. You might be thinking, it's just a letter, it's harmless. But it's not just a letter when it causes emotional damage to those it's directed at. We think everyone will agree. It's not easy being the parent of a handicapped child. But to receive a letter from an anonymous neighbor filled with nothing but hatred directed towards the child is downright disgusting. Carla Begley, the mother of an autistic boy, received a letter saying that she should, quote, do the right thing and move, or euthanize him. This hate-filled letter was seriously messed up. Some of the jaw-dropping highlights include, quote, he is a hindrance to everyone and will always be that way. And, quote, no employer is going to hire him and no girl will ever love him. And, quote, they should donate whatever non-retarded body parts he possesses to science. Carla, who herself suffers from multiple sclerosis, said she broke down in tears when she read it. There is no disease horrible enough to wish on whoever wrote that letter, and we hope karma is coming to deliver one hell of a payback on them.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.